Hello, do you remember when we made our autumn garland? We had to throw away the pom-pom garland. Just look, the pom-poms are on their way back. Oh, there we are. And there's a pom-pom garland right behind us, the actual one. Who knew that pom-poms could be so much fun? It turns out that they don't have to be just one colour. You can make flowers onto them. You can make all kinds of really complicated ones, but we're going to do just a simple one. I always find it's good to find yourself surrounded by a giant pile of wool. That's what we're going to need today. We're going to need black for the centre. You can just stay with the black if that's all you've got, but you can soften it up with a contrasting colour, which I'm going to do yellow. We need some green for the leafy bits on there, and we need a colour for the flower. You can see on the ones behind me that the colour for the flower can be anything at all. Today I've got this nice pink. All of these ones can just be little scraps that you're using up. It's very yarn heavy on the white, so I bought a big cheap thing of white for this because it does use a lot of white, but the others tiny little scraps, so you can use up some of your stash. We need to make a pom-pom maker. You might have a nice plastic pom-pom maker. I had a nice plastic pom-pom maker and I lent it to somebody who never gave it me back, which is why I can't buy another one. So what I've done is I've made one out of cardboard. So this is cardboard packaging, you know, like Amazon packaging or whatever that you've got, Hobbycraft packaging, the Works packaging, any of those sorts of things. And you need to have 4 little rainbow shapes like that are all exactly the same. I've only got 2 here because I'm going to do a here's one I made earlier, but you need to have them. And what they are is half a circle with a bit more. So I drew around something circular and cut it in half by folding it so you knew exactly where it was. And then used that as a template to make a slightly longer bit. The longer bit needs to be about 2 centimetres longer than your half there, so that you end up with that. You don't need to be fantastically accurate with that. You just need to have 4 that are exactly the same. And then you're going to put them on top of each other like that. Now you can do a traditional pom-pom in the round, but it's difficult to do that because you end up squashing through the middle. Doing it in 2 halves is easier. So the back of our pom-pom is just white. Okay, so that's just going to be, so the back half is just a completely normal white pom-pom, and that's the here's one I've made earlier. So I've gone around with my white and I've just gone round, and it's easier than poking in the middle. You didn't have to keep cutting little bits off that will go through the middle. You've just wound it around on that side, and that's where I've got like that. I'm going to put that on one side, but the magic is creating the flower on the other side. So we're going to start with the centre, which is black, and we're going to find the end of our wool, which is a slight bit of a challenge because I never put it away tidily enough, and we're going to put 2 of these together on top of each other like that, and we're going to the centre, and we're going to wrap it around 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See how that's just in the middle like that? So we've gone around 10, it's about the length of my finger, close up next to each other like that. Now we're going to get the yellow. Now 12 wraps is going to be our next one, and you can absolutely do another 12 of black if you want to. That's what I have done on these ones where they've just got a black centre, but it looks quite nice actually if you now join another colour in and put them together. So you're going to be wrapping at the same time both things just to soften up the centre, and we're going to do 12. So I didn't cut my black off. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I said 12, and look what I've done. I've got a big mass there, so I'm going to stop at 10 because it's near enough, so that I don't have to sort that out. Look, that one will make 11, and that's near enough. And I've got those mixed up together. Now when you're doing this, you don't have to hold it up like I'm doing to the camera. We're just going to leave these bits now, and we don't want it all coming out. So just, you're going to have to just be a little bit careful as you're going. So we've done 12 wraps of that. Now that's the centre of our pom-pom, and we want the main colour. So in this one, this is yellow, and I'm going to make this one in a dark pink. And we're going to start to wrap again. Now, I'm going to put this here, and I'm holding, can you see how I'm holding my finger over the ends to stop them coming out? I'm going to put my pink one there as well, hold it over, and do my first reps. Our reps are going to be 80 of them, and they're going to go from this edge to here, but not all the way to the end. I want you to leave enough space to get your finger in at the end there, like generously, maybe even your thumb on the end. So we're going to go from here right round to here, but we're not going right to the end. We're going to leave enough space. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to keep going like this. So if our director just pauses, you'll see what I mean, going all the way along. 78, 79, 80. So by the magic of editing, we've gone all the way around from there to there with 80, but we've left a space at this end. Okay, I'm going to take this back round and go the same on this section here, and that's going to be 50 of them. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Let's pass forward again and come back to the end. Okay, 47, 48, 49, 50. So now it looks like that. We've covered up the yellow and the black in the middle. We've gone all the way along, and that's the end of our pink. Oh, got my scissors tangled up in my wool. And I'm just going to use my big scissors to cut that off. And that's going to be all of our pink. Again, I'm just keeping my hand on that so it doesn't come unwound. Don't panic too much about that counting there. If you do a little bit more than 80 or a little bit less, or even if you just can't be bothered and you just do that, as long as your black's in the centre and your contrasting colour is going like that around it, that will be fine. One of the nice things about these is this little bit of green to denote the leaves that go all the way around it. I also have quite a bit of green left because, to be honest, I'm not that keen on green as a colour just on its own right, but it's ever so useful for doing leaves. So we're now going to put these in. So I've got this green and I'm going to put it at this very edge with just 10 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've done 10 just at that end. It fills in the space but still doesn't go all the way down. I can still fit my finger in there, and I fitted 10. I'm now going to come right up to the middle, and I'm just pulling it without cutting it, and I'm going to do 10 in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And can you see how I'm keeping them all together? Tight. This isn't 10 like separated all the way along. It's 10 together. And now 10 at the other edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And look at that. I've run out of wool because I've sometimes done that. Okay. Now, don't worry about that, but I don't think 6 is quite enough because 10's very small anyway. So I'm going to find another end of my wool, which has somehow ended up cut. And I'm just going to add it because all this is going to be cut in a minute. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And as I say, if it's not exactly the right number, absolutely don't panic because that is what we're heading for. We've got green. So remember, we had black in the middle, then black and yellow. Then we had our pink across there, and then we've got 3 lots of green at either end, smaller amounts. So that's what it's looking like. At first time, what you want to do is just follow what I'm saying. Then when you've cut it, you're going to think, oh, I understand. And you can start writing those different things like this. Now, we want the whole of this to be covered in white now. So I'm going to start at the same end, just because it helps me to catch those loose edges of green. And I'm just going to start winding round, and I'm going to go all the way around, all the way over and back. When I've done that, I'm going to take the other one, and again I'm going to cover the entire thing in white like that, completely all the way. You could fill it even more than that if you like. I always get bored with just winding, but just remember to leave these edges. You need the finger space at the bottom like that. So if we pause again, I'll finish this and then you can come back and see it when it's there. So you can see how yarn heavy it is. Out of this 200-gram ball of wool, I think I'm only going to be making, well, there's only just enough there for another one, which would make 5, probably just 4 of them. So it is quite yarn heavy on that background colour, but nothing else. If you want to save yourself some wool, you can actually just do half a pom-pom and cut it and tie it at this stage. That is what this one is. It doesn't have a back. So you've got that. All I've done is from that stage, I've then snip, 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 tie, and not put the other side on. And I quite like it like that. It's not quite as fulsome and it's not quite as strong. But then again, if you're not throwing it around and you're putting it just on a pom-pom garland, it might work. However, it was tremendously awkward to stop it from falling apart and to tie it. And I had to enlist another pair of hands when I was doing it. So I'm going to do this together. But if you want to do just half a pom-pom, that would work. And it would also save your white yarn if you didn't have enough. But we're going to fold out these pieces that we left. So they're now going to sit next to each other, like that. Now, if you had your lovely plastic one, they clip together with special clips. But I don't have my plastic one anymore. But what I'm going to use is these little bulldog clips. You can also use rubber bands, anything like that, that will just hold them together while you're cutting. So I'm just going to put these on and then I'll show you. I made this for a WI competition. We had to make a flower garland and it was for the Great Yorkshire Show and mine was displayed. It didn't win, but winning at WI competitions is tremendously difficult, and the one that did win was very good, but it was fun to do. And it looked very different to all the other ones that were more traditionally flowery. But here we are. So I put my clips 1, 2, 3, 4 just to keep it secure. Yes, you could go so that this hole was removed completely, but I just find it boring doing all that, so I'm not going to. We need to make sure that we have got enough of our white wool left over here so that we can tie in the middle, because you absolutely want to make sure that you've got a tie in the middle. And now we're going to snip around the edges, so you need to get your scissors in and snip. Now you might notice that I have changed to embroidery scissors here. They're sharper and they're easier to get in. Now it's also difficult when you're doing this snipping all the way around, and I'm just getting my scissors in case you've never made a pom-pom before, and snipping in between, halfway along in between. Now it can fall apart at this stage, so you have to be careful as you're holding. The more centrally you haven't left your hole there, the better it'll be. But you need to just be really careful at this stage, because this is before it's cut completely. So it's really vulnerable at this point. So I'm going to do it carefully, cut all the way through, press pause again, and then show you how to tie it. So I've snipped all the way around both sides now, and I'm being really gentle with it at this stage because it's quite delicate. This is the stage where it could fall apart. Get your wool and slip it between the two pieces of card all the way around. Now before you tie it, I want you to stop and think about where the hanging loop's going to be. If you're not hanging it, don't worry about this. If you notice, this is hanging in the wrong place because the flower is now down. I should have put the hanging loop so that it was on the side, like that, by one of the green sections. And you can now see where the green sections are because they've come open. So make sure your tying knot is going to be where one of the green sections is, one of the little leaves, and then it'll be in the right place. Sometimes when you're doing this tying, you need an extra hand. And I have an extra hand who is going to just pull as hard as possible on that. And we're going to make it possibly not right out of shot. That's it. Now holding that tight with our extra hand, that just helps you to tie a knot and make it as tight as possible. Thank you, extra hand. And then when you've got that tied like that, you can do the magic bit. The magic bit is taking off your clips really carefully and then taking the card out, because the card is no longer attached. You don't need to have cut into this card. You can use that card again and again. You have now got your gorgeous pom-pom with its flowers, but it isn't finished, because the best and most fun thing about making a pom-pom is trimming its hair afterwards. I should never have been a hairdresser, because I can't stop when I start trimming these pom-poms. You basically need to just go around and trim. You need a surface underneath you. Last night I did this over my cat's head and he didn't like it. Covered in this stuff. So make sure you've got something to catch all your bits of wool. And then you need to just go round. So now you can spend a really happy afternoon trimming your pom-pom. You never know where to stop. Keep trimming around till you've got a beautiful shape. Hang it up with that if you want. If you want to thread it on, I just put a giant needle all the way through and cut that bit off altogether. Make hundreds of loads of different sizes, put them in a pom-pom, or throw them at the person who might be helping you. See you soon. Have fun with your pom-poms. Bye.